Something many people face in their lives is the fact that you have to acknowledge that you are not okay. So what does it mean to acknowledge when you are not okay because of a mental illness? Now, when people experience mental illness, it's not just feelings of sadness, it's not just anxiety, it's not just that, it's a slew of many, many other things. Fatigue, lack of motivation, guilt, shame, hopelessness. It's a lot. And when it comes to the individual, it could be very different from another person because our experiences are subjective. Now, having said all of that, these are two examples of what people experience when their mental illness is setting in and how they know that they need to take action to do something about their mental health. So, the first one I want to talk about is being on edge, being in fight or flight mode all the time. Now, this is something that people with anxiety feel a lot. Personally, I have OCD and GAD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. Not only that, but I do have paranoia from my psychosis. And as a result, I often feel on edge. I often feel anxious. And that is something that I've learned to live with. It's not something easy to live with. Always moving around, always overthinking, always being cautious, I used to do this thing where I would not touch my desk, because all the desks in my class were connected. So I didn't want to touch my desks because it's like a little aisle of desks. Imagine a movie theater, but instead of another row of chairs in front of you, it's a desk. I used to not want to touch it because I didn't believe. I had the anxiety that if I were to touch it, people would be able to read my mind. And that kind of paranoia really set off inside of my brain. And I've learned that that's not normal, but I've also learned that you can't make it go away, so you need to learn how to cope with it. Distress tolerance, as it's described in dialectical behavioral therapy. So the idea that somebody is always on edge, somebody is always anxious, is a common one, and it is something that you need to acknowledge because that can snowball into a bunch of other horrible things. Being on edge can lead you to make irrational decisions. It can lead you to even harming yourself, which is not good, really, really not good. And that is the first example of when you should take action because your mental illness is setting in. The second one is breaking down over very insignificant things. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is exactly what happened to me yesterday. So, my dad told me to wash the dishes. I've been washing dishes all day. I washed my family's dishes this morning. I washed my family's dishes this lunchtime around. And then now it was dinner time. I came back from the gym and he's like, oh, wash the dishes. And I look in the sink and it's filled with dishes. So I was like, where did these come from? I did the dishes right before I left. And he was like, yeah, that's your dishes. And I'm thinking, I didn't. Okay. And I said, huh, okay. And he got really, really mad at me. And that was something that is not very important. It's not very significant in my life in any capacity. But it broke me down. I felt horrible. I felt worthless. I felt hated. I felt like a burden. I felt like no matter what I do, it will never be enough. And that's an example of how you should take situations in your life, but reframe it. You see, the way I reframed it was into something negative. But what you can do is reframe it into something that is positive. That could be, I'm good at washing the dishes, so that is why I was asked to wash the dishes. It may not be blatantly said that it's a good thing. You don't have to have somebody tell you, oh, what you are good at this, therefore do this. It's not necessarily about that. It's more of you being able to take a situation and seeing the positive out of it, which is very hard. People with depression have to face that a lot, and it's not fun. So, yeah. Those are two examples of what you should do when your mental illness is setting in, or two signs that your mental illness is setting in. So, my dog is whining. I gotta take her out for a walk. She wants to go walk. So, I will catch you in the next one. Ahui ho, malama pono.